Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Plot Genie. If you have ever stared at a blinking cursor halfway through your book, wondering, why do I always stall out? Or what actually happens next? Or why does this always happen right here? This video is for you. I'm Heather, and today we're going to dive into 5 strategies I swear by to actually finish your draft, whether you're writing your first novel or your 50th. Let's get into it. I figure that for November, it's the perfect topic to talk about because I don't know about you. I have clients and friends who are really good at finishing a novel. I have, if you believe it or not, clients and friends who are really good at the middle. I personally get really jazzed at the beginning of the novel. I'm really good at the setup. I'm really good at act one. And it's once I get, I would say, maybe after that midway point, like that midpoint, where I kind of start to lose steam and I start to question all of my life choices that have led me to this exact moment. So I have come up with some strategies that have worked for me. If you've hung out with me on this channel before, you're kind of going to know that for me, it's every process is different, not only per series, but sometimes per book. And so these 5 have really helped me in different situations. And I hope that they will help you, especially with November being, you know, National Writing Month, whether you are doing it again for yourself, which is what I'm doing with Pro Writing Aid and Abby Emmons, and I guess it's Novel in a Month, Nov Nov. And then I know that Sarah Cannon and her Heart Breathings channel is doing the Rough Draft Challenge. So if you need to get through, here are some tips. Let's jump into it. So the first tip is know your final scene. When I first started, I used to think that plotting was kind of optional, and it turns out it's really not, at least not the ending. Even if you're a discovery writer, which is kind of what I've turned into, mixed in with some plotting beats, knowing where you're going gives an anchor when the middle gets messy. So, things to ask yourself, what is the emotional payoff at the end of this? What's the final moment that will make the reader say, that was so satisfying? You don't need every beat figured out. Okay, I'm not trying to convert any discovery or pantsers into plotters, but if you have a clear sense of where you're headed, it's going to pull you through that messy middle every time because it'll fall back to your cause and effect. Things have to happen to get to this point. So then what happens to get to the next, to the next, to the next until you get that transformation or that ending that you have been planning for? The second thing that I like to do sometimes is, especially when I'm overwhelmed by chapters, I really zoom in. So instead of saying, I need to write chapter 17, I'll say something like, I'm writing the scene where she's confessing and then he walks away from her. So the specificity is the actual speed. So um, I'll set a timer just to write that scene. Now, again, I know I've talked about this so much, but I don't recommend timers if your creativity extends longer than 20 minutes or 25 minutes because we do not want to train your creativity to only come out for a certain amount of time. But there are times when it's overwhelming, or I'm tired and exhausted, or I just know I need to get the words, but I don't really have a lot of motivation, is the timer. Just because I'm a competitive person, I like to compete with myself, and just having that extra, push really gets me in the zone. And then once that timer rings, I take a break, and usually I don't need it anymore because I've already started that. If you've ever watched the Anaheim Ducks hockey team, and Timu Solani, he calls it the ketchup bottle. And the way that he talks about it is when the team isn't scoring, he's saying you just have to keep tapping on that ketchup bottle because once you get one goal in, it's that momentum that builds up and it just all comes out. So I use this when I need that extra kick in the butt to really get going. Um, your brain is going to fill in the gaps later. That's what revision is for. I will just put cute banter here or this needs to happen here if I don't have any ideas. This is when I'm fast drafting sometimes. I just need to get it down because it's like, I don't know if this happens to you, but like it's like my brain just bunches up together and it's like I have all of these ideas and then I start freaking out that I'm going to lose it. And so it's like da 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 da. But then once I have it, it's like, okay, I know the scene now. I know what's going to happen. So now I can go back and start writing it out. Okay, I hope that made sense. The third thing is cut the perfect prose mindset. Okay, perfectionism is the number one draft killer. Say it with me, done is better than perfect. If you have watched my three draft method, I talk about this a lot. So when I'm drafting, I use what I call like ugly placeholders. If I don't know the line, I will literally type insert witty comeback or XXX or heartbreaking flashback goes here or Korean drama rain moment, like things like that, that will set the tone or the mood or what I think needs to come in here. And just it helps me keep writing without losing that momentum. And later, when I'm editing, those placeholders now become prompts, not problems. So remember, we're not necessarily saying like we want to finish the draft, right? So this helps by, okay, I need to think of what actually comes here. So even if I don't have the words, I have the prompt. And it's going to let me finish the draft because I can come back, usually with a clearer head and the confidence of, okay, now I know how it ended. I know where to go. And that's going to help me write a lot easier with the spots that I needed help with, if that makes sense. So the fourth thing, do not edit, but potentially reread strategically. So I do not edit during drafting. I don't do it. It takes me out of the momentum. And then like ideas that I had that were exciting, like for me, I don't know if this happens to you, but for me, like when I look at the first draft as sort of the play draft, like I'm not necessarily thinking about the marketing. I'm not thinking about what readers want. I mean, that's all in my head. And if I've done my planning well, it's already there. But the actual drafting of the scenes, of what goes here, of all of that, I don't always, um, I like to play around with it, I should say. It's more for me, like I'm unwrapping this box by myself before I'm sharing it with the world. And it's an opportunity for me to try to fit into everything. And so I get really excited, and that excitement builds the momentum. I'm not listening to what I think other people are potentially saying. I'm not going and checking to see what's hot in the market or whatever. I'm just in my little, like, sandbox playing by myself, really, really excited. And one of the reasons why I don't reread is because once I start looking at my draft as something to edit, the playtime is now over, and now we're shifting into a different part of our brain, which is more of the edits, the let's fix it. And when we look at our draft that isn't even done yet as something that needs to be fixed, you're going to start seeing your flaws, right? You're going to start seeing the draft's flaws. And so this has really kind of, when I go back and I see the flaws, it takes the win from my sales, if that makes sense. Like suddenly I don't want to play anymore because now the game is stupid or now the game is dumb or what was I even thinking to think that this could work? Once I have the draft completed and I've written even the little messy scenes with the prompts, once I have everything written, now I can go back because it's sort of like I have the design. I'm an architect, and now I have the fully completed design. And I have the bare bones of what the story is supposed to be. And so now it's like, now I want to go look for something, not to take me out of the play, but to improve upon it. Does that make sense? And so this is why I do not reread when I'm drafting. Okay. However, there are moments where I will go back and reread the last few paragraphs before each writing session because it drops me back into that emotional flow. I'm not looking for flaws. I'm not looking for edits or anything like that. I'm like, okay, what was the character's motivation? What was she feeling just a few paragraphs up? Especially if I've now switched into the hero's perspective, because let's hypothetically say they're in an argument and she's feeling like this at the end of her chapter. Now I need to go to the hero's perspective and I need to have him completely get it wrong. Like if I really want to turn up the tension, I want him to get it completely wrong about why, she's feeling the way that she's feeling. But I can't do that as strategically as I can if I don't remember what she's actually feeling. So that's what I do for myself. I give myself this rule. I'm not allowed to fix anything unless it's some like glaring typo where it's like her hair is blonde, but it's really supposed to be red. Or, his name is Riker and I misspelled it or something like that, right? Just highlight it, tweak it, fix it, whatever, and then move on. You're not there to fix prose or rewrite sentences or anything like that. You are there to keep going. So it's kind of like if you think of your draft like a train, you need to keep it in motion. Don't derail it for one crooked seat, right? Okay. So, the last thing that I like to do is I like to use milestones, not motivation. So, waiting for motivation is a trap. I'm sure you've heard other people say this. Instead, I build in milestones that keep me going. So, like, if I hit 10,000 words, I'm going to treat myself to, like, a 10-minute YouTube video or something. If I hit 20,000 words, I'm going to share a teaser on social media of, like, a scene that I'm really, really excited about. Um, if I hit 30,000 words, maybe I'll order myself a little writing themed gift. Maybe I will go book my cover design, my cover art or something like that. Um, at 40,000 words, maybe I'll go read like a chapter in a fanfic or something that's going to hype me up or inspire me. And then 50,000 words, I'm going to get myself a hot chocolate, extra whipped cream, and that's it every time. And if I finish the book, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to turn on Netflix, I'm going to watch a K-drama, okay? Like I need to, now that I have the book out of my brain, I need to just like palate cleanser, right? So this gamifies the process and it makes it fun, which matters way more than we admit. One of the things that sometimes I will catch myself is like decision fatigue, where it's like, oh, I don't know what to do at 10,000 words and it stresses me out. And if that's the case, either don't do it or I don't need the motivation, to be honest. I sit down, I don't need the treats, I don't need the thing because I have done it in the past and for me, if I'm being completely honest with you, for me, getting to tick off the little check marks, okay? Getting to tick that off is all, like everything that I need in order to like get me hyped up and excited. But I know so many people who need the milestones and the little treat, the little reward, the carrot, so to speak, that I think that it's really important that you reward yourself if you need that as the motivation. So, here's a quick bonus if you're really, really stuck. When I hit a real wall, sometimes I will write the next scene that I'm excited about. So, even if I'm on chapter 17 and I'm just like, I do not know what to do. I will jump to chapter 24. Okay. You're going to be shocked at how often that can re-spark your momentum and it gives you clues for the missing scenes because, again, we have to work in cause and effect. We have to make the story make sense. So remember, if this does work for you, because sometimes it doesn't, and you know what, to be honest, this is like my super, super, super backup because I don't like writing out of order. However, I know that it works for some clients, and so that's why I'm leaving it here. Your job is not to write in order, it's to get to the end. And in any way that you need to do that, you have that permission. So, what do you do if, writing out of order isn't your thing? So, what I will do is I will ask what makes the most logical sense to come next. And I know it's like super like common sense, but I think that as authors, sometimes we get so focused on the ending that we forget where we are in the story. If I'm at the midpoint and they have just kissed, I can't start thinking about, okay, well, I need to get to chapter 24 because that's when the steam is going to happen. I need to get to chapter 16, which is the like, okay, we need the reaction to the kiss. So, what does he do? Well, he's going to realize that the kiss has triggered emotions in him like where he realized that he actually loves her and he thought that kissing her was going to, he just needed to get out of the system, and that was completely wrong. So how does he react to being wrong to that? Well, he's going to completely distance himself from her. So maybe then he goes to a bar with, a couple of his friends, his guy friends, and gets drunk. And well, maybe when he's getting drunk, he, drunk dials her and basically gives her a hard time about making him feel things that he never meant to feel, right? And this is all just stuff I come off the top of my head, but you see how it's sort of like we just need to ask ourselves, okay, what needs to come next? What logical, like again, we're going back to cause and effect. The cause is the kiss. What effect does that kiss have on the hero? What actions is he now going to take? And you kind of almost, it's like a maze, right? So we're now at the part where does the hero embrace it or does he run away from it? Again, this is going to depend on your structure and your genre and your expectations, but like with the example we just used, he's going to run away from it. Okay, so now we go down this path, but now we're going to come up to another brick wall. Okay, does he run away from it by dating someone else or by going out with his friends, by talking to his brother, by looking for another job? Like, and now you kind of have more of a more branches on this particular tree. You have different directions. You have a lot more directions. But again, it's all going to depend on your buildup and how you set it up. So I know it's so basic. I know, but sometimes we have to think where we are right now in our story and not worry about getting to chapter 30 or the black moment or even the steamy part. We need to worry about what happens next. And so what is the most logical thing that can happen next? And we don't criticize ourselves for it. We don't start saying, well, that would never happen or that wouldn't work. We keep going and ask ourselves why, or what about this, or what about that, or what about, whatever. And you just give yourself a few, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to really think about it. Go take a shower, go take a walk, go wash your dishes or clean your house or something. And just think about it and kind of play into it and see what happens. So, those are my trips. So, let's recap really quick. Number one, know your final scene. Number two, sprint scene by scene. Number three, let go of that perfect prose. Number four, reread, but only without editing and only the last couple of paragraphs. And number five, motivation is optional, but make sure you reward yourself for the milestones. Remember, the messier the first draft, the easier the second. You cannot revise a blank page. So, comment below and let me know which of these are you going to try this week, or do you have your own drafting trick? I would love to hear it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a fellow writer who needs a finish line push. You've got that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will talk to you in the next video. All right, take care. Bye.